Hello and welcome to round 13 of the
TPO Rankings.
Yes, that's right, the TPO Rankings show. That's our brand new intro music. I hope you like it. If not, too bad, get used to it, it'll grow on you. So what is the TPO Rankings show all about? It's about Australian football through the lens of the TPO Rankings. You can think of it like the FIFA World Rankings, but for Australian football. Jake joins me online, as always, from Brisbane. How are you this evening, Jake?
I'm doing well, Cody, and that little intro is growing on me already.
Already?
Loving
You've
it.
only heard it a few. You didn't like it at first, though, did you?
I was unsure. It's not I didn't like it. Anyway, I didn't know how to describe it, but
Okay,
it's getting better.
Fine for now. Cool,
Yep.
cool. And Jake, what's that jersey in the background I see?
Yeah, so I've got I've had a previous show. I got the Heidelberg jersey on in the background here. I've got a Stanmore Hawks jersey. Not a club in our rankings, but I'd reached out to a few people who were talking to us on our social media and just asked for those that were selling shirts, and somebody got back to me, and it arrived today in the mail. So we'll probably do a bit of a switch up between the shirts each week and hopefully get a few more in the collection. But that's number 2 now. So Stanmore Hawks from New South Wales, and as I say, just outside the rankings at the moment, but soon enough we'll be in there.
Absolutely, they will be in there. And Jake, just in case you want to know, this is the Socceroos jersey I've got on. So
Gotcha.
I know you couldn't have picked that. But
Looks like
right,
a 2014 World Cup jersey, is that?
correct.
For those at home, I actually can't see Cody right now, but I'm guessing it's the Brazil World Cup Socceroos jersey.
Well, that's the only one I've got at the moment.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's it. Well done, Jake. Which we went to, so that's probably how you know that one. So this week on the show, we're talking FFA Cup. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's recap some of the weekend's results and the impact it's had on the rankings. I'm going to run through super quick because we've got a lot to get through this week. So let's go to Queensland. Sunshine Coast Wanderers played Peninsula Power on Sunday afternoon. Power got up 2-1 sort of in the last few minutes there. They won that. And the game was held up at the sunny coast. I was going to go, didn't get around to it. But of all reports, it was a good game between two good clubs. The rankings, Peninsula actually fall 2 spots. So they, because of the clubs around them, were moving up. They still gained some points, but not as many as the teams around them. Wanderers fell 4 spots to 143rd. Peninsula, I think, are on 50. I think they're 52nd now, aren't they, Jake? Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
Okay, this is a big game between, it was and still is first v second in Victorian MPL, Avondale v Bentleigh Greens. Bentleigh getting up 1-0 there. And just to touch on that last game, I skipped over there. We both predicted a Power win, so we both got a point there. Bentleigh Greens got up, and we both predicted a Bentleigh Greens, so we get another point there, 2 in a row, on fire. Avondale fall 1 spot in the rankings to 19th. That's their first loss of the season. And Bentleigh Greens remain in 10th on the TPO rankings. Continuing on in the same league there, 3rd v 4th. It was Green Gully ranked in at 23rd versus Heidelberg ranked in at 9th. So we both backed Heidelberg, and Heidelberg got up 3-1. So that's 3 games in a row. We voted for and got 3 right. That's pretty impressive stuff. And they both, after that result, actually stay where they are. So Green Gully would have dropped a few points, Heidelberg would have picked some up, but not enough to sort of juggle around any spots. And I have one more game here before Jake's 3 games, and that's in the South Australian State League 1, I believe it's called, the Modbury Jets versus Adelaide Raiders. And Jake, I'm going to get you to touch on the rankings here in a second because there's some big moves here. We both predicted Adelaide Raiders wins. Modbury Jets actually came a bit of an upset, won 4-2. So, Jake, talk me through Modbury Jets. Have jumped a few spots, haven't they?
Yeah, probably a little bit more than a few. They've jumped up 16 places in 1 week, so big movement there. And part of the reason for that is just because the clubs around them are very tight on points. So a win like this that they're probably unexpected, or a couple of goal margin and an upset win in a sense. We'll see these sort of clubs move a long way. So 16 places, they're up to 92nd.
Wow. And
Raiders, on the other hand, have fallen 5 spots. They're down to 88th. So those clubs almost swapping places.
Cool. Yeah, well done. Jake, you got 3 games. Let's run through them.
Yep, so I started off, and this is the one that I went out to see this weekend. It was in the Football Queensland Premier League. and it was Southside Eagles versus Wide Bay, a bottom of the table clash. Both teams had lost their last 5 games. Wide Bay actually have never won a game or even picked up a point. So this being the first year that they're in the competition. The rankings predicted a Southside Eagles win. So did most of the supporters. I think it was pretty overwhelming there. And Southside Eagles got up 5-2. So they move up the rankings a little bit. They're still quite low in 177th. And Wide Bay still winless, still pointless. And pointless in the sense they don't have points. Yeah, they have no points. And down in 187th out of the 198 that we have in the rankings. So long way down. And then the other one, or the second game I had there, was Adelaide Comets and Adelaide City in the South Australian NPL. Going into the game, Adelaide City were favourites as the higher ranked club. And we had our prediction saying that 53% of the chance would go to, or a chance of win for Adelaide. TPO supporters backs Adelaide City as well, and we were both wrong here. So Adelaide Comets are getting a 2-1 win, and that's the second time in the last week that they beat Adelaide City, the last one being in the FFA Cup midweek. So the Comets are up to 27th on the TPO rankings. Adelaide City just holding on to 15th place, but at risk now of dropping below Metrostars potentially. What else? I've got one more here. So Tasmanian NPL, this is my last one for the week. And it was Hobart Zebras versus Launceston City. Top of the table clash there as well. The Hobart Zebras ranked 94th going into the game. Launceston 152nd. So the Zebras were quite heavy favourites. TPO supporters again went with us, picked Hobart Zebras, and like you said before, 7 games out of 7, the rankings predicted the same result as the supporters. We were both wrong on this one as well. So the Launceston got up 3-1. Hobart Zebras fall outside the top 100 rankings for the first time in a little while, and so down to 103rd. Launceston City continue their climb, still a long way to go though. They're in 145th.
Yeah, cool. Well, go on, and guys, if you're interested in some highlights, Launceston City posted a few little snippets of goals and saves and some good little highlights on their Instagram page, so Launceston City. So go follow them if you're interested in that. So out of the 7 games, we both got 4 correct. So the supporters you guys moved to 23 points, and we're still in at 22 points ahead at 25th. So we got, I believe, 5 games later on in the show to hopefully you guys might vote differently to us this week. Who knows? And you might catch up. Jake, any other results, movements in the rankings you want to mention?
Only one very quick one, because I want to start talking about the FFA Cup as well.
Good.
And that's Rockdale City Suns have moved into the top 25 again. They were in there not long ago and dropped out, and they've taken the place of Oakley Cannons. So that's the only movement in and out of the top 25 this week.
Cool, and for guys watching, tporankings.com, you can check out the full rankings list. As always, I updated it this Monday. It's going to be updated, but it'll probably be updated, in a few days' time. So it's always there, always lives there. All right, Jake, part 2 of the show, FFA Cup. Don't know what you're talking about. You take it away.
All right, so I thought I'd do just a quick update, given we're getting closer and closer to knowing who the 32 clubs that are going to take part in the round of 32 of the FFA Cup this year.
I love the FFA Cup.
I tell you what, so do I. Some of these games, just the atmosphere at, I've been to a few of the ones when an A-League team comes to town.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Even just the local teams. There's just something a bit special about the midweek FFA Cup games.
Love them.
And, yeah, so where we're at in a few of these, obviously we've got the 10 A-League clubs already confirmed, and Heidelberg are also confirmed in the round of 32, being the 2017 NPL champion out of all those NPL champions that they had to play for at the end of the year. The rest of it, I'll get this image up on screen, so hopefully it's okay to read there. But basically, it's...
And Jake, just quickly,
yeah.
Sorry for those listening to the podcast, which will be new out this week. So if you're listening to the podcast of this show, you'll have to go to our Facebook and Instagram pages to find this image. It's just with the heading 2018 FFA Cup Progress Update. So you'll find that there. Please continue, Jake.
Yep, and I'll describe it hopefully well enough. I'll paint the picture.
Lovely green overlays over the text.
Yes, exactly. It was a nice warm evening. No, we're not going to go there. And the other thing is, we're recording this on a Monday night. By the time this show comes out on Wednesday, if you're watching it pretty much straight away. There's likely to be some games being played right now.
Wow.
I've got a list of 19 games that are all on Wednesday night.
Oh, wow.
So this will have changed again. And if
Maybe I'll have to get this up early this week or something, Jake.
Yeah, and
maybe.
well, I mean, if you're watching this and it's still Wednesday night, go and have a look at some of these results. And if it's after that, then this will have changed again. But so what we've got at the moment, like I said, 11 clubs already confirmed. The remaining 21 clubs, of those, there's 85 clubs vying for those positions.
Mm-hmm.
There was a draw today in Victoria, so we know now there's 8 clubs left and 4 of those will go through. So we know the grouping of those, and I'll touch on a couple of those. So we've got Bentleigh Greens against Kingston City. One of those will go through. Avondale are playing Richmond. Port Melbourne Sharks playing Moreland Zebras, and Northcote City Altona Magic. So the winners of those 4 games will be the Victorian entrants this year.
Mm-hmm.
In other states, we're about qualification round 6 or 7. So the way it works is round 7 is the final round of games to determine the winners. So I think New South Wales is up to round 6, so they've still got 2 games or 2 rounds to go. ACT is only up to about round 4, I think, or 5, so they've got a little bit further, but they're down to 8 clubs. Queensland is getting closer. They're 2 rounds out, and there's a few groups which we can go into a bit of detail, but the one that's closest to actually determining that the entrance, is Sunshine Coast Fire versus Gold Coast Knights, one of the local clubs there. So those 2 clubs will play in the next few weeks, and the winner there goes through. And then further up in the north of Queensland, we've got Cairns FC, Magpies Crusaders, and North Queensland United. So one of those 3 teams, just with the way the draw works, is going to qualify.
Yep.
Some of the other states have still got a bit to go. So Western Australia is still 2 rounds away. Northern New South Wales is probably 3 rounds away. But Northern New South Wales, and I'll probably should check this, but I'm almost certain it's the same this year as previous years, where they actually have the final 2 rounds, round 6 and 7, on the same weekend. So they play the first round of games on the Saturday, and then they turn around and do the final qualifying game on the Sunday. So
It's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, man, that would be tough. It would be real. And I think they play the final, or at least they have in previous years, on the Sunday afternoon. So if you make the final 3 games in 2 days.
Why? Like, they're not 17 anymore. These guys
Probably a lot of them are.
People take a while to recover.
Yeah, who knows? And last couple there, Tasmania, 1 club will qualify, and it's down to 4. So South Hobart, Devonport City, Launceston City, and Northern Rangers. One of those will go through.
Launceston's going to go through on that one, Jake.
I hope so. They're impressing me this year. They're doing really well, so I'd like to see them get through. South Australia, one of these 4 clubs. It'll be Adelaide Comets, Croydon Kings, Cumberland United, or Modbury Jets.
Yeah.
And then Northern Territory, there's still 5 clubs there to go. But I won't... Yeah, so, it's progressing. We are getting closer. And honestly, in the next probably week or 2, we're going to be... Those 85 clubs remaining will probably be halved and getting very close to knowing some of those other ones. So I won't run through the games that are happening this Wednesday, but as I was writing this, there was one there that caught my attention, partly because I think I've heard of one of these clubs, but just this fixture made me laugh, and maybe this is me being an idiot, but let's see what you think, Cody. It is Kirrawee Kangaroos versus Tarrawanna Blueies.
Wow, very Australian.
Yeah. So that's in New South Wales, and one of those clubs will obviously go through to the final round of qualifying and potentially onto the national stage. So
wow, that'd be awesome.
Anyway, so that's where it's at.
Cool.
Now, what I wanted to do, Cody, is actually just quickly in this segment as well, I was going to just start reading out some interesting stuff, and I thought that's kind of boring. So instead, I'm going to challenge you. I've got some questions here that are all FFA Cup related and going back over the past few seasons. So we'll see how well you do. And I've challenged the Facebook viewers to give us their answers as well. So if you did that on the Facebook page and you're now watching the video, see how you went. But I'll give you a little bit of an out here, Cody, because you were overseas for a chunk of one of these seasons, so maybe you can rely or fall back on that if you don't know, but we'll see. So, Cody, the first question I got for you are, and actually this is probably one that I'll give you a minute just to pull up the rankings, or maybe you can do it from memory, but just a couple of, I've said name 3 of the highest ranked clubs on our rankings that have never qualified for the round of 32. So If you can name one or two of them, I'll accept that as a pass. And to give you a hint, out of the top 50 ranked clubs right now, there's 10 that have never been on the national stage. So I want you to name the highest.
I have no idea. Let's go. I'll say Sydney Olympic. I'll say. I probably need to have a look at the rankings. Or Avondale. I think Avondale would be one, wouldn't they? They'd be up there.
Give me one more name, and then I'll tell you how you did.
I think Apia have qualified. Let's go Apia. I can't remember if they've qualified. They probably have, but I'll go Apia and Avondale will be the two teams the highest in the rankings.
All right, you got one of them. Avondale is the highest ranked club to have never qualified, and they're still in the running. They're one win away.
Yep.
And they're playing Richmond in that final game from the state league, so they'll be favourites.
I've heard massive things about Richmond, by the way. Apparently, they've just stacked their team. So they're not even in our rankings system, but they've had some insider info that they're quite an impressive team.
And that was after going close to going out of existence not all that long ago. But anyway, so Avondale's the highest ranked. Apia and Sydney Olympic have both been in there. I think Sydney Olympic, I think 3 times out of 4, something like that.
Jeez, I was wrong.
Yeah, and Apia are maybe 2, but I don't have that in front of me, but they've both been in there. And just to give you a couple of the other names of the high-ranked clubs, you've got Pascoe, Western Pride from Queensland, Adelaide Comets, who are still in the running in South Australia. Campbelltown is out, but have never qualified. And the other clubs that are kind of up there and are still in the hunt are Port Melbourne Sharks, Brisbane City, Northcote City and Kingston City. So all of those clubs in the top 50 rankings never been in the FFA Cup round of 32.
Okay.
So
cool.
So I'll give you a half mark for picking Avondale.
Yep.
And then I'll take it off you for getting the other 2 wrong. So
cool. Back to 0.
All right. So question 2 for you is what do we got here? There's I'll give you the number actually. I'll make this a little easier. There's 3 NPL clubs who have qualified for all 4 seasons, or all 4 years, the round of 32. Can you name any of them?
How many? 4 clubs.
There's been 3.
3 clubs.
Yep. I'll even give you. Well, actually, I'll have a guess and then I'll give you a clue if you need it.
I think Heidelberg's only been good in the last 3 years. I'll just name a few clubs. So I'm not just going to. I can't just go.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll go Heidelberg. I'll go Brisbane Strikers. I'll go Apia. Oh, here we go. Oh no, you said Sydney Olympic only made 3 years out.
Yeah, I gave you a clue on that one.
Let's go Canberra Olympic, South Hobart, Edgeworth Eagles, maybe Broadmeadow Magic. Who else from Queensland would have qualified? I'm thinking Lions or Peninsula. South Australia is a bit harder because they're going to get 1 spot, but I'll say Adelaide City.
That's enough. That'll do you.
Bentley Greens. Yeah, okay. How do any of them?
I was only half listening to your answer there, if I'm honest, but I don't think you got any of them.
Seriously?
You can tell me if you said any of these. The Queensland one is an interesting one. It's actually Far North Queensland Heat.
Oh, I didn't even think of region.
Yeah, who are now... I mean, we're saying that Cairns FC is the same and it's a name change. It's not exactly. It's a little bit of changes there. Some people are still there, some aren't, but we're just calling it the same club.
Oh, Gold Coast United. Will that be one?
No, funnily enough. So they missed out a couple of seasons because Surfers Paradise Apollo, one of the local teams, got in. Oh, wow. The other 2 are both from New South Wales, actually, and it's Blacktown City and Sydney United.
I don't think I said Blacktown.
And a couple of the others that have been close. Bentley Greens have been there 3 out of the 4 years. So have Hume City from Victoria. Palm Beach, which you were saying, or Gold Coast City, they were there 3 years, except for that one they lost. Edgeworth Eagles, Metrostars, both been there 3 times, and same as Broadmeadow Magic, and there's a number of clubs that have been there twice. But Blacktown City, Sydney United, and Cairns or Far North Queensland Heat were the 3 that have been there every year, and all 3 are still in the hunt to make it again for the 5th year.
Yeah, wow.
All right. Moving on, I've got 5 questions, so the rest are a bit quicker. We're up to number 3. So this question is, which NPL clubs, and again, you've kind of just named a bunch of them, and now you've got a bit of a clue, but maybe just give me 3 names. Which clubs do you think have performed the best in the FFA Cup? And what I mean by that is I've had a look at, if we assume kind of counting backwards. So a club that makes or wins the FFA Cup, I gave them a score and I figured out how many rounds there are from start to finish. So the winner gets 13 points in a season.
Yep.
The loser in the grand final got 12, semi-finalists got 11, quarter-finalists 10.
Are we talking A-League clubs as well?
Yeah, so I did. Well, no, the question is for NPL clubs. But,
NPL clubs. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I gave them points depending on which round they made it in each year, and I've added them up. So which team, or give me 3 names of NPL clubs who have gone the furthest on average over the years.
Heidelberg, Blacktown City, and Canberra went well, South Hobart. Who's another one? Let's just go. We'll say Bentleigh Greens.
You've done really well, actually. You've got the top 2, so Blacktown City. They, in the first 2 seasons, 2014 and 15, got knocked out in the first round of the round of 32, but after that they made the quarterfinals twice. Bentleigh Greens is in second, so they made the semi-final in that first year. They didn't qualify at all in 2015. They actually got knocked out 3 rounds away from that round of 32. And then they made the quarterfinal in 16 and the round of 17 in 2017. So they're the top 2. Heidelberg was your other answer. They're in at 10th. So they're still in the top 10.
Yep.
And I won't go into the detail, but some of the other ones that are up there are Sydney United, Hume City, South Melbourne, Sydney Olympic, Far North Queensland, and Brisbane Strikers. So they're the kind of rounding it out.
Yep.
All right, we're getting there. Number 4 is... let me know which one of these you want to answer, but the first part of it was how many times an A-League team has lost to NPL opposition. And then it was part B, which was kind of bonus points, as if you can name any of the clubs involved.
I'm going to say 3 times. Adelaide City beat Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yep.
Redlands beat Adelaide United, and Heidelberg beat Perth Glory. And is there one more? Has Brisbane City beat someone? I'll just stay with there. I'll say 3.
Say 3. You picked the 3. There's actually 2 more, so there's been 5. Not Brisbane City. They've not made the round of 32. So no. The other 2 games were both Central Coast Mariners losing.
I meant Brisbane Strikers. Sorry, but yeah, keep on.
Yep. So Central Coast Mariners in 2016 lost to Green Gully. Yep. And then last year in 2017 they lost to Blacktown City. So 5 games. Adelaide United, Western Sydney, and Perth losing 1 each, and Central Coast Mariners with the other one.
Yep.
And now you've got all of that context from the first 4 questions. The last question is, what would be the biggest upset in your opinion that is, or name a couple if you want, which has been the biggest upset so far in the FFA Cup from the round of 32 onwards?
The obvious one to me is Redlands beating Adelaide United. So
and just the other thing, I guess, just to clarify, the way that we're measuring this is using the TPO rankings and kind of how unlikely it was that the team got a win.
You've got my answer, so that's the only one that comes to mind. So I'll say that. I'm sure there's another one, but I'll say that.
All right, you got it. You nailed it in one. So Redlands beating Adelaide. TPO ranking says that's been the biggest upset. I'll give you a couple more because there's some interesting ones. Number 2 on the rankings, despite just saying that there's been 5 A-League clubs losing, it's not a game involving an A-League club. It was last year, Bankstown Berries from, at the time, or still NPL 2. They beat Metrostars, who were flying really well at the time. So that's the second biggest upset. The Adelaide City beating the Wanderers came in at 3rd. Heidelberg beating Perth was 4th. And then there's a range of games that were NPL clubs. Interestingly, and this is you got that one right, Cody. Well done. But just the other interesting thing on the back end of this is that one of the games where Central Coast lost to Blacktown City 3-2 last year. It was. I mean, most people would look at that and say that's an upset. When we would look at the rankings at the time, the rankings actually had Blacktown City as the favourites. So, I was joking at the time that we might see an upset if Central Coast can get a win over the New South Wales team. But anyway, so there's some of the interesting things in the FFA Cup. There'll be more to come in the next couple of months as we get into the round of 32 again, and we'll keep it updated with as teams start to qualify as well. So hopefully for those watching at home, if you had a bit of a go, you let us know how you went.
Yeah, let us know how you went in the trivia. So thanks for putting that together, Jake. That's actually, you got me really even more so excited about the FFA Cup. I'm looking forward to Wednesday's games. And we'll definitely be covering more and more FFA Cup. We'll be all over that one. I think we're planning to maybe live stream when the draw happens on Fox Sports, if it's going to happen on Fox Sports and all that sort of stuff. So stay tuned for that. All right, Jake, let's move quickly through the last part of the show, and that's, we've got 5 games, upcoming weekends. I'm going to do my 2 games, then you're going to do your 3. First game, Lions FC up in the Queensland NPL versus Brisbane City. Lions coming off a 3-0 win over Redlands, who I just mentioned before, with that biggest ever upset in the FFA Cup. City off 2 wins, amazing wins against the reigning champs of Queensland, Western Pride. The top 5 in Queensland are so close. They're kind of competing up here. City are in 6, a little way behind. If they've got any chance of making these finals, they need to keep this good form going, and a win against Lions would be huge. Lions are favourites. They're ranked in at 29th. Brisbane City are 41st, so Lions 45% probability of winning that one. I think that our supporters will go with us there, Jake, on picking Lions.
I dare them not to, though. I dare you.
Yeah, I think people are just voting from the Instagram stories. They're not watching this whole show or listening to the full podcast, so they're not hearing you say that. I might need to clip that in or something. But all right, my next game is in the South Australian NPL, and I featured Campbelltown back in the day. I think it was round 1 and 2 of the South Australian NPLs, which was about 10 weeks ago. They were my favourite club at the time. They're back up into second spot on the table, so they're back into my realm. I'm loving them again. They beat West Adelaide 3-0 on the weekend. So yeah, they're second on the ladder. Who's first? Metrostars. So they're, I think, 5 points ahead of Campbelltown on the ladder. And they've won 10 out of 11 games this season, so they're pretty heavy favourites. They're 16th on the rankings. Metrostars, Campbelltown City, 35th. There's my 2 games, Jake. Over to you.
All right, and you mentioned there they used to be your favourite team, and for a little while it was Monaro Panthers.
Panthers, yeah.
Here's a suggestion for you, Cody. You need to, on your whiteboard or on something, I want something behind you that says who's your favourite team at that point, any point in time.
Okay.
It
Good
seems,
idea. All right.
You know, it seems to change
Jumps
a little
around
bit,
a bit.
and I want to know who it is at any time.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, so my 3 games. I've gone one of the obvious ones to me in the Queensland NPL. It's the Western Pride versus Brisbane Strikers. So the 2 teams that our simulation suggested the favourites to win the premiership. They're currently 2nd and 3rd on the ladder, so Olympic FC out in front. Strikers are the highest ranked NPL club at the moment, still in 21st. Pride in 34th. And they've been pushing to kind of solidify a top 25 spot for a little while now. They were in there, they were out of there, they're just outside still. And like you just mentioned, Cody, Western Pride, reigning champions, they've lost twice in the last week to Brisbane City, the same club, in the FFA Cup and in the league. So they'll be looking to bounce back. But Strikers are looking really good at the moment, so they'll have to do a bit to upset them. And our rankings suggest a 46% chance of a Brisbane Strikers win and 32% Western Pride. The other game, or the second game for me, is in the New South Wales NPL. It's Sydney United and Sydney Olympic. Sydney United ranked 18th, Sydney Olympic ranked 17th, very close. They're within 2 or 1.5 TPO points of each other. They're predicted to finish, Sydney Olympic predicted to finish 2nd behind Apia, and Sydney United predicted to finish 4th. So they're both up there in the finals contention and potentially the premiership battle. And what do we got? Sydney Olympic, 30. Like I said, they're actually 32% of the time when we run our simulations for the rest of the league, they finish as the premiers. So they're in with a shot. 1 in 3 times they win it. And it was only, I think, this week just gone that Sydney Olympics actually moved above Sydney United in the rankings. So it's very close, and obviously this one will go away to deciding who sits in front for the next few weeks. And and just to mention the probabilities, we have Sydney Olympic as slight favourites, 39.5% chance of winning. Sydney United, 37.5%. So this one will be a close one. Sydney Olympic probably with the form, but United have been looking good the last couple of weeks. So we'll see what the supporters think on that one. And then the last one is also in New South Wales, but it's in the NPL 2. And it's St George FC versus the Central Coast Mariners, a youth team. They're currently 2nd and 3rd on the ladder. They're both attempting to chase down Mount Druitt Town Rangers, who are a number of points out in front in that league at the moment. And from memory, it's just the one club that gets promoted to the NPL, so it's a coveted spot. The Mariners youth team are ranked higher at the moment in 73rd, and St George's 82nd. So Mariners are favourites in this game. We've got them at a 43% chance, St George at 35%. And obviously, as I said, second and third chasing down Mount Druitt. This game or the result will go a long way to seeing if anybody can catch them and who it'll be. So those are my games.
Thank you very much, Jake. Well, that's the show, guys. And one more time, let's hear that intro jingle.
TPO Rankings.
Did you like it? I don't know, I like it. It's growing on you, isn't it? You're going to be getting used to that one, especially on the podcast now. We'll be on all the episodes. So yeah, remember guys, if you are watching this, or there is now a podcast, you don't have to sit and watch our ugly mugs talk. You can actually drive your car, you can wash the dishes, you walk your dog, and listen to the podcast. How good is that? If you can't find it, it's TPO Rankings podcast. It should be everywhere by the time you're listening to this. If not, just wait a few days. It will get there. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Jake, anything else before we say goodnight?
Nothing from me other than that reminder that FFA Cup games Wednesday night. There's a whole bunch of them, so check out the results there.
Thanks very much, Jake. We'll see you next week, and thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
TPO Rankings.